Around 2200 BCE, nearly 4,200 years ago, the ancient world faced a catastrophe unlike anything seen before. Civilizations that had flourished for centuries, from Mesopotamia's mighty Akkadian Empire to Egypt's Old Kingdom, from the Indus Valley cities to early Chinese dynasties along the Yellow River, collapsed almost simultaneously. Today, archaeologists and climatologists call this the 4.2 kbp event, now recognized by UNESCO as one of the most significant global climatic episodes in human history. But at the time, people only knew they were living through hell on Earth. They had no idea that a cataclysm on a scale never witnessed before or since was sweeping across the planet. Cuneiform tablets from Mesopotamia describe famine, invasions, and desperate migrations, while inscriptions in Egypt's first intermediate period speak of drought and political fragmentation. Excavations at sites such as Tel Lilon in Syria revealed entire urban centers abandoned within decades. Their fertile fields turned to dust, and yet life went on. People survived somehow. Desperate times called for desperate measures. Entire populations migrated, some moving great distances in search of a better life. Groups without a homeland became refugees, wandering from place to place. People who never traveled far from home were forced to walk hundreds or even thousands of miles to find new homes. But they weren't walking into a friendly neighborhood. They were often entering regions already occupied by other people. This caused friction, sometimes leading to violence. Whole nations were wiped out, while others managed to stay alive, but not without paying a heavy price. Their way of life was shattered. Ice core samples from Greenland and speleothems from caves in Oman confirm that this was not a local problem, but a planet-wide climate shifter megadrought lasting more than 200 years. Yet it wasn't a uniform experience. Some regions were hit harder than others. In the Middle East, the Fertile Crescent, where humans first domesticated plants and animals, and where civilizations arose, turned into a desert wasteland. The Nile in Egypt, once a life-giving artery, began to flood erratically, disrupting the agricultural rhythm that sustained the kingdom. In India, the Indus River, the lifeblood of an advanced urban civilization, seemingly changed course, drying up the very cities it had nurtured. Meanwhile, China witnessed the Yellow River flood, destroying settlements and causing massive erosion. This was a failure of the natural system that had sustained human civilization for millennia. Plants and animals that had thrived for generations could no longer survive in a changing climate. People struggled to adapt to the new conditions, and many failed. This wasn't just a blip in history. It fundamentally reshaped the course of human civilization. The Akkadian Empire, the world's first true empire, crumbled under the weight of hunger and rebellion. Egypt's Pyramid Age ended as centralized authority collapsed. The once thriving Indus cities declined as rivers dried and floods shifted course. Trade networks that had connected distant realms were severed, cutting off the flow of goods and ideas. Cities once teeming with merchants, artisans, and scholars emptied as people sought better lives elsewhere. Great works of art and literature that once adorned palaces and temples were lost or forgotten. Knowledge accumulated over centuries seemed to vanish overnight. But something even more profound occurred. The 4.2 kbp event marked the first time humanity experienced what we might call a global systemic collapse. Driven not by war alone, but by environmental upheaval, civilizations that had navigated droughts and floods in the past were overwhelmed. This was the first time the world got knocked off its axis in a way that can be compared to the modern age. The Industrial Revolution, the Internet, globalization, and the COVID pandemic all came within a span of 300 years, starting in the mid-1700s. That's nothing compared to the time between the beginning of the Akkadian Empire in 2334 BCE and the start of the New Kingdom of Egypt in 2055 BCE. The collapse and rebirth of civilizations took 280 years. This was the longest period of civilizational disruption in human history until now. Even though this happened thousands of years ago, it has implications for our understanding of how modern society might react to large-scale disasters like climate change. For instance, we see that systems can collapse even if they were highly advanced for their time. The Indus civilization was one of the most sophisticated urban cultures of its day, but it couldn't withstand the megadrought. We also see that cultural differences may have helped some societies cope better. The Egyptians, for example, didn't totally collapse but entered a period of fragmentation and instability. This suggests that social cohesion and adaptability play a role in weathering such crises. Finally, we see that these events are not isolated incidents in history, but part of a larger pattern. The 4.2 kbp event was not the first instance of a widespread societal collapse driven by climate change, and it won't be the last. In fact, there were similar collapses around 1850 BC. 1150 BC, 750 BCE, and 550 CE. In each case, prolonged droughts or shifts in rainfall patterns led to widespread crop failures, famines, and large-scale migrations. Each event reshaped the political map of the ancient world, sometimes giving rise to new empires, and sometimes bringing down old ones. Yet, despite the devastation and disruption, life always found a way. Human ingenuity and resilience proved stronger than any drought or flood. The story of the 4.2000 event is one of both tragedy and triumph, a testament to the fragility of civilizations in the face of nature's power, but also to their tenacity and adaptability. It serves as a stark reminder that the balance between civilization and nature is always perilous. Even the mightiest empires can topple when confronted with extremes of weather and climate. But it also shows that people can endure and adapt. As we face the challenges of our own changing climate, the lessons from this ancient history seem more relevant than ever. It tells us that while megadroughts can decimate civilizations, they don't necessarily spell their end. Life finds a way, whether it's in the seeds that lay dormant in the ground, waiting for the rains to return, or in the human spirit that refuses to give up in the face of adversity. In the aftermath of such ecological upheavals, the world is forever altered. The political landscape is redrawn, economies collapse, and traditional ways of life are disrupted. Societies are pushed to their breaking points, testing their resilience and adaptability. Yet, even in the darkest days of these collapses, the seeds of renewal are sown. Survivors, driven by necessity, innovate and create new ways of living, often more sustainable and diversified than before. Out of the ashes of the old ways, new ideas and practices emerge, laying the foundation for new societies. Sometimes, entire civilizations are reborn, carrying forward the legacy of their predecessors, while embracing new realities. These cycles of collapse and renewal are not merely historical footnotes. They are essential chapters in the story of human progress. They teach us that civilizations, like individuals, must adapt and evolve to survive. They also remind us of the delicate balance between humanity and the natural world. Our greatest challenges often contain the seeds of our greatest opportunities for growth and change. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. By subscribing, you will get more videos about ancient history,